everyone. Me again, Brian. Today is another episode of Cross Bridging and the curation of different leaders, and so you can see how these leaders are going to make a very significant improvement in the community. And of course, a lot of times it's really that myopia of community, which is really saying that the short-sightedness of your own personal dream versus the entire community. And really, sometimes it's important to have this kind of summary of your thoughts so that you can actually see the holistic view of the entire community rather than just individual. And because when there is a new savior, it seems like there will be a myopia of thoughts and a myopia of views and dreams, things like that. Because when people start to form a new leadership, of course, the attention will be divided, and when that happens, there will be a revolution and a detachment from the original plan, which is normally the case of a division, and that that the Catholic versus the Catholic and the Protestant. You see, so it's always this situation. It's the same situation over and over again. It's the same situation of the defense and the oppressed and defenders, oppressors and the defenders. That one side will oppress and the other side will defend. And this is the same situation over and over again as predicted. Through the life cycle that normally is in this situation, that and of course, as Singaporeans, I think that it's important for us to excel in our own type of spiritual gift, because when you really focus on your own individual passion and you really abide to this passion, it kinds of make everything flows according to what you want it to happen in your way. And really, because this is a type of situation where things are really put in place so that the road can be much smoother, you see, and how this is going to allow the other factors and obstacles along the way that will hinder you from achieving your goals. It will be dealt with accordingly, and if you are the person that is being dealt with in this as an obstacle, this is where the Protestant situation comes in. But what can the Protestant do as a Protestant against the majority, or they call it the majority democracy that has been taught to be the social norm? So this is the type of obstacles that is whether is it worth fighting for or fighting against. That is really that discernment that the person have to make, and without losing your anchor, because there can be a fleet of ships that is sailing out into the same direction or stopping by to fish for fish. Individual boat has to be equipped with a strong captain and of course a strong team that is going to lead that to captain that captain that direction, you see, and how the rest of the community plays an important role to upkeep this direction. I think it's going to be task, um, individual preference, and how they are going to see a leader and try to make good judgment out of the situation they are in. Now, as a spiritual leader, as someone who is trying to, who is being currently, it seems like it's being put in place in this situation. I think that as time passes and as issues evolve, I understand the kind of instability that may happen, and if you are doing a bad job, um, it's depending on how that issue can be recalibrated and thought through to make the world a more just and fairer way of operating. So at this situation, I think that it's very important to take up a role that, if you want to be a spiritual leader, of course you have to follow someone that is going to make a very big impact on your life, who has been making very big impact on the life of the community, and then follow through and try to make it and carry on this kind of thought process. As the leaders has aged and growing older, there will be a very strong kind of succession plan that has to be put in place, whether through wisdom, whether it's a contribution of influence, contribution of power, or contribution of financial capabilities, or contribution of innovation, or contribution in construction. I think that it's going to be a collective effort to try to shape the next generation of leaders, which is not going to be an easy task, because not everybody's children is going to be leading a very smooth life. Of course, as leaders, we try to bring out the best within our communities and try to make it a better place, and improve the place from there, and maybe things can be shown much better in this way. And so, because of these current plans and ideas of what God has put through to us and allow us to make a difference in our own community, which we can call ours, it's very important to understand the priorities that we have been tasked to. If anything goes wrong, many times you will feel the feeling of guilt-ridden because of your maybe you haven't really physically or verbally put to put yourself in charge in this situation, but a lot of times it's really about the democratic views on the responsibility that you have been given or you have uptake. So what is the plan is really about the entire psychological input that has been downloaded into your brain, and then from there you kind of share your information from there, and you pray that it will lead you into a better path. Not necessary, sometimes the path will lead you into a wonderful one. It's oftentimes it's going to not going to be so easy, because of that kind of stress that you have to put your family through, in order to train them up into somebody else. And it's really that pain and suffering um, that is going to shape the future. And if there is any ways that this kind of pain can be much easier to accept, if it's like a bitter medicine is normally a good medicine, and how come the idea is like that? It's because it has been it is being written like that, and um, normally we get paid to be tortured, but I don't understand how can passion be used to make our can passion be used to earn money. So that will be a wonderful thing to have, to really enjoy your passion, to really make money from your passion, and to really be able to contribute positively through your passion, and to achieve your dreams through your passion. And I think that this will be the greatest blessing of all, that you can live your passion, you can live through your passion as someone that is enjoying life so much, and whatever he or she does is going to be so successful and so wonderfully made. And I think that will be the greatest blessing. And even if in the eyes of other people your life hasn't been so perfect, but if God can allow you to live through the life so much more better than any time, even if it's suffering, it can make life feel so much better. I think that will also be a very good blessing. Of course, not all the time we can receive whatever we want, but this is the prayer, this is an aspiration of a perfect life. And I hope that life can offer such good deals to me and the people that receive it and wants to receive it, especially those in Singapore. So give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His faithful love endures forever. Psalms 107 verse 1. And spirit-filled souls are ablaze for God. They love with a love that glows. They serve with a faith that kindles. They rejoice with a joy that radiates. Love is perfected in the fire of God. So you mentioned, because Singapore is relatively a new country with a history of over 55 years, and for it to enable us to live through a century and more, it's going to be a tough battle, because as generation goes older, the change in power and the succession plans is always going to be a tough battle. And as children goes older, then they realize the world is actually a cruel place, and then the adults have to witness how the child or the children is suffering, or they suffer as a result of the child having a better life. I think all these summarize the day to be in this manner, and how that is why the prayers for a better life through passion driven occupations is going to serve us even better, and it makes us live life so much better and makes our family a lot more comfortable through the passion, and passion of making money or passion of making the community work in a way. I think that would be a greatest blessing for me already. And I think that this, I can speak for most of the people. If you are wondering what, what life is about, I think this is a summary of life. And the shuffled card says that even when I am afraid, I keep on trusting you. I praise your promises. I trust you and I'm not afraid. So Psalms 56 verse 3 to 4 says that I am not afraid because I keep trusting you, God. And may God help to make this passion, this road that is going to fill us with passion and continue to burn with fire. And if we are able to continue to be able to burn with passion in such a wonderful ways, to let God allow us to make our road a better one. I think that this would be a greatest blessing for all. And the reason is because I think that God has made us into such a wonderful creatures, and as time passed, the road hasn't been easy. It's just that it's walkable. It's not easy to walk for a long journey because, but it's made easier because the road has been built. Infrastructure is there. It's just that we have to think positively. We really have to think as spiritual leaders. We actually have to think like God. We have to think like kings, and as rich businessmen, we really have to think like a businessman. If as a businessman, we really have to think like a rich businessman, and to try to lead life through in this manner, and then and hope that the rest of the scientific plans and scientific studies, psychologies can help to make this road a better and easier one for us as we commit ourselves into the roles that we were given, or we commit to the roles that we were trying to achieve, or others are trying to achieve for us in this sense. So this is a message for today, and let us turn to the encyclopedia and see what God has, what message that God has allowed us to talk about. So yesterday we talked about Africa, and I think that today is the same thing. It's also about Africa. So it's about the climatic zones. Although most Africa is warm and hot all year round, the climate varies greatly because of the wide range of landscapes. Parts of the north coast have hot, dry summers and cooler, moist winters. Desert regions have cold nights, scorching hot days, and almost no rain at all. On the equator, the climate is hot and humid with high rainfall. Mountains regions have warm summers and cool winters. So it talks about that variations of temperatures, and it's really like every time we think that that Africa is always a very hot country, but it says that although it's most of Africa is warm and hot all year round, the climate varies greatly because of the wide range of landscape. Um, so I so it says that there are some areas that is cooler and moist winters, though the northern part is usually hot, dry summers, and cooler, moist winters. But I don't understand, but it kind of says that it depends on where you stay. Then it's not like Singapore. It's always raining, raining or sun, and raining, sun, raining, sun, raining, sun. But over here is you have different forms of temperatures, or different continents. But we must remember that Africa is a continent, Asia is a continent, Africa is a continent with multiple countries. Asia is also a continent, but largest continent with multiple countries. And lo and behold, there is also tropical rainforest in Africa, although it only covers less than 20% of Africa. The most extensive area lies close to the equator in the West Africa and Central Africa, Zaire, which is also known as Congo Basin. Though thousands of species of trees flourish in the hot, humid climates which produces rain all year round. However, large scale fellings of trees for timber hardwood such as thick and mahogany threatens to destroy this environment. The desert is about, so we go back a bit. So the desert, about 40% of the Africa is desert. So the Earth of Bluma in Niger is part of the West Sahara. In Arabic, Earth means sandy expanse. The sand is blown by the wind into ripples and into huge dunes, some of which may be nearly 200 meters, which is also 650 feet high. So it's actually very high. They blow all the wind into that sand, and then it forms that 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 um, the shape, the dune shape dunes, which is looks a little bit like pyramid. As the wind blow, then it kind of form all these little sandcastle. We call it those sandcastles, but they call it dunes. It's not really a castle. It's just a pyramid look alike. So the two other main deserts is the Kalahari and the Namib, both in the southern Africa. Okay, then the people, which is what we are mostly interested of, and also the resources, which is something that is very scarce in Singapore. So the people, 1 in 8 of the world's people live in Africa, mostly along the north and west coast and in the fertile river valleys. Although traditionally people live in 4 small villages, a growing number of are moving to towns and cities to look for work. Birth rate in many countries are high, families are large, and about half the population is under 15 years old. So it's a relatively young nation. A lot of people are very young. More than half is 15 years and under. Can you imagine the number of children being born over at that country? So that population is really exploding with people as they keep on giving birth. So if you really like children and families, I think go to Africa is a very good idea. You can have a lot of children. But of course, I don't know the implications of the education there, or how much you must spend there in order for you to have a family, and whether if your country allow this type of brain drain for you to go there and set up a family. I think it will be a very nice idea for me go there to set up a family and to see the family grow and to have a lot of children and play with the children. I think that will be a very fun idea to have. But whether the country allows me to do it, this may be a threat, because after they spend so much time and effort to bring you up to somebody that is going to lead, and suddenly you leave the country and go to Africa and have your own family, it sounds like a Iran situation or a rebel situation. I think that US will send the FBI there to kind of tackle this problem. Because why are you doing it? They spend so much money for you to come here and try to build a country, try to lead, and maybe talk about spiritual, to lead the people through the spiritual wilderness. Then you go to Africa, then you're leaving the rest of the people behind, thinking what should they do? Now the resources, which is something that I'm very interested. Africa has many resources, but they are unevenly distributed. Libya and Nigeria are leading oil products. Southern Africa is rich in gold and diamonds, and Zambia is leading copper producer. Tropical forests yield valuable timbers, but are felled at an alarming rate. Africa is leading producer for cocoa beans, cassava, bananas, coffee, and tea. So basically, they are all the tropical products. Of course, I think in the desert there is also those kind of oil that they can extract from the soil. I'm not sure that if it works that way. Now, so there is a lot of gold and diamonds, but I'm sure that all these are controlled by all the pirates, and they are going to kill you if you try to do anything funny and disrupt any form of their custom or things like that. And of course, they also have their own cocoa beans, which is those beans that is going to make into chocolate, and bananas, and coffee, and tea. I think these are, because in less than 20% of Africa is tropical rainforest. So I think that all these actually are all these cocoa beans and the so-called the fruit are from the tropical rainforest area, and the rest of the areas like the desert, all these and diamonds and gold. I'm very sure that um, they are mostly in the mountain area or the desert area. Not sure. Like it says that okay. The funny thing is, um, okay. I think there is some sort of a mistake here. Oh, okay. So basically, 40% are desert. 40%, another 40% is savanna, which is grassland, and then another 20% is tropical rainforest. So savanna is like a area where you have the lions and tigers and the deers, and National Geographic, you see them filming all the animals chasing each other. Those are in savannas, and of course the leopards and the deers. Then the desert is the one with the camels and things like that, and of course you have the tropical rainforest, which may have reptiles and monkeys and things like that. And so they are divided into 40, 40, 20%. 40% desert, 40% savanna, and 20% tropical rainforest. And in the savannas, there's also mountains. So, and all these summarized into um, the the continent, the climatic zones of Africa. And of course, there's scrublands, which I'm not sure, because they say that much of the northern coast of Africa has a warm Mediterranean climate. Coastal cliffs and hills are covered in sparse, low-growing, and often fragrant plants and shrubs that are able to thrive in the poor, stony soils. Many of the plants have thorns and small, leathery leaves to prevent them from drying out in the fierce heat of the sun and frequent sea breeze. So, according to what they are saying here, not sure where the scrubland percentage of the scrubland is, um, but it seems like it's saying that it has fierce sun. Like Penang, this one I think is a bit like Penang. It's a bit like not trying to find trouble here, but based on what I have experienced, I went to Penang before, and then there's this special durian that it's actually the sea breeze and mountain areas. So according to them, that durian there is super powerful and damn nice. So how does this relate to biblical grounds and spiritual wilderness that we are navigating? It says that the evergreen plants are able to retain their moisture in the heat. So if and that confusion part is they talk about the desert, the tropical rainforest, and the savannas, but they didn't mention any percentage of Africa that is scrublands. So why do they not mention about that? Maybe sometimes it's carelessness that they don't mention, but if we think deeper, why they didn't mention about it? Perhaps it's not to 100%. I don't know why it's being written like that. Maybe it's part of savannas, but this is something that we can think about. Or maybe it's because the percentage is so small that it didn't really mention about scrublands. Okay, so because it seems like the scrublands is at the northern part of it's just a very small area of scrublands. It's maybe like a small outline. It's called the Baie de Sohalias, Algeria, part of Africa. So this is the name is called Baie de Sohalias, Algeria. So it's going to serve us, help us to understand the spiritual grounds much better, and for me, I really thank that people there uh, to be able to endure such a difficult journey. Uh, because I don't know when this is being written. Honestly, I don't know when this encyclopedia has been written. But if they were to say like majority of the people there are like under 15 years old, um, of course over time it's going to it's going to okay, he didn't really mention here, but anyways, I think that this is the message for today. I hope God can bless you. You see, many times community building starts from a family building, and you have a pastor that helps to control that relationship between men and women. Um, because when there is such a distance between uh, men and women, the power disparity comes, then the entire ecosystem will change. Because when there is a decision, tough decision that has to be made, whether the women will be easily influenced by the man or their family, that is very important. You see, once they are easily influenced by their family, right, then the husband doesn't have the strength or the ability to hold her back. That's where things start to go haywire lah. But maybe this is part of the plan for God. Sometimes we don't know what God plan is. It's only after a while. It's like the lights haven't switched on yet. So during the darkness, right, people are building up the spiritual realms. People are building up spiritual things. So when the lights are on, then you start to realize, actually everything has been built already. It's because when the lights are not on, or when the barriers are high, they are building up an infrastructure. Like how the walls of Jericho it's actually a wall that is because they are building up an infrastructure there. So as they are building up the infrastructure, they don't want other people to go in and disrupt the building of infrastructure. You see, so as the Jericho wall comes down, it's not because it has been collapsed, but it's being brought down so that they can reveal that building that they have been planning to build. And this is one of the way to look at it. Of course, another way is a castle that has the wall being torn down. Of course, it depends on how you really look at it and on which side you are. If you want to think it as a win-win situation, then this has to be done. This has to be thought through. So this is the message for today. I hope that God can bless. I hope that God really can bless. Make this road an easier one, make this road a better one, and make this road a stronger one. New generation is new generations of leaders is coming through, and old generation is going to pass. I don't know what is the future. What does the future hold? I only can pray that it will be a smoother journey, and whoever we are serving and whatever we are serving and how we are serving, I really hope that God can help us to strengthen ourselves, make this life a better one, meaningful one, and hope that God can continue to bless. And I pray in Jesus' name.